Hello there, people of the world, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. I was very inspired by a conversation that I was having with a very dear friend of mine last week about what to talk about for today's episode, and my friend was telling me the story of when she first accepted Jesus into her heart when she was 6 years old, and beautiful story, and it actually reminded me of my own as well. And basically, when I was about 6 years old, maybe 7, maybe 5, I don't remember exactly, but when I was very little, I used to collect roly-polies, and the funny thing about that is I used to sell them door to door. But that's beside the point for this specific vlog. Anyway, I really wanted to wake up very early the next morning. I wanted to wake up at 5 a.m. because my friends at school told me that that is the time that all the bugs are out on the sidewalk. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like magical Disneyland. I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go out and collect the roly-polies. So I went to my parents and I was like, hey, can you guys wake me up at 5 a.m. so that I can go out and collect all the roly-polies around the whole neighborhood? They weren't too thrilled about that one because that would mean that they would have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. The answer that they told me was no. And I kept asking, and finally my dad just told me, just ask God to wake you up at 5 in the morning. And I don't know what his intention was for telling me that, probably just to kind of get me off his back because he didn't want to wake up at 5, but I took it really seriously and really literally, and I was little, I didn't know, and so I went up to my room and I got on my knees and I was like, God, can you please wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning so that I can collect the roly-polies? There wasn't a doubt in my mind that he was going to wake me up. I was like, oh, let's go do it, he'll do it, end of story. And guess what happened? The next morning at exactly 5 o'clock, I woke up and I went out and got the bugs. And the whole entire time I was getting the bugs, I just remember thinking to myself, wow, God's real. God woke me up. That's really awesome. And without a doubt in my mind, that was what happened. It was God. He woke me up. I feel like that is a perfect example of childlike faith. Childlike faith is actually what Jesus tells us to have. The people with the childlike faith are the ones that understand him the most and can relate and be in relationship with him the easiest, because when you look at a child's faith compared to an adult's faith, you tell a kid that, hey, Santa Claus is real, and the kid's gonna accept that and be like, okay, cool. So he's gonna live his life as Santa Claus is real. He's gonna write Santa a letter on Christmas Eve. He's gonna thank Santa the next day for his toys. He's gonna try and be good because Santa's real. So if you tell a little kid that Jesus is there, if you tell little young Jackie to ask God to wake me up at 5 in the morning, I'd be like, oh, okay, wakes me up. Without a doubt it happened. And the reason that God woke me up at 5 o'clock in the morning is because as a little 5-year-old, there was not a doubt in my mind that he would. I had all the faith in the world that he was going to wake me up, and that's why he did it. And that's why all throughout the Bible, Jesus is telling people that your faith has saved you. I was just reminded in a small group the story about this, I think it was this lady that was bleeding to death for like many years, and she just touched Jesus's robe, and she knew that if she could just touch his robe, she would be healed. It wasn't even his skin, it wasn't even saying a prayer, him laying hands on her. She was like, if I could just touch his robe, I will be healed. And that's what happened. She touched his robe, she was healed, and it was her faith that saved her. It was her faith that God is there, and I trust that. There's so many things in the Bible and in life that don't make any sense. Why do the bad things happen? There's so many things in this world that I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand. There's so many things in the Bible that the greatest theologians in the world are never gonna understand. Things that get debated over for hours and argued over on social media, and just, it makes me really sad. The question is like, why do we want to figure out every little tiny detail? What is it that we are looking for to prove to us that God is real? Nowhere in the Bible does it tell us to try and figure every little detail out. And that's the beauty of childlike faith, is that we don't need all the answers. You tell us, hey, God is real. Okay, cool, God's real, that's awesome. But you tell an adult God's real, it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna need proof, I'm gonna need evidence, I'm gonna need to know this here and not there, and like, what's this question over here? And the beauty about it is that the only thing that holds all this stuff together is faith. The faith that I knew God would wake me up at 5 in the morning. The faith that that lady who was bleeding to death had, that touching Jesus' robe would heal her. Faith is so beautiful, and I'm so thankful that it's there and it's so easily accessible. And it's like, it's so easy to get wrapped up in all the questions and all the theology and trying to figure it all out. But it's like, if I'm trying to limit God to my own understanding, then I am trying to put God in a box of what my brain can understand. The greatest, smartest person on earth would be putting God in a box by trying to fully understand him. He's so much bigger than what we get, and I'm thankful I don't understand it all, because that means he's bigger. That means, hey, it's bigger than me. I don't need to understand it. All I have to do is have faith that God does. And the reason that that's safe and that's okay is because we know the character of God, and we know the character of God is the same as the character of Jesus, which is love. And that's the point, you guys. And so, you know what's so cool about little kids? They go to their parents for everything. They're needy and they know they're needy and they go to their parents, and that's how we're supposed to be to God. So the cool picture that is presented there is that the neediness of a kid to his parent, all those little needs we have, we go to him, and he cares. He cares about every single one of them, just like he cared about me waking up early enough to go get the roly-polies so I can sell them door to door and make a profit, because I did. I made 25 cents. Thank you, Cassidy, if you're watching this. Okay, guys, that is all that I'm going to say for today. I hope that you're all having a great weekend, and happy end of February. Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. I hope that you enjoyed what I had to say. If you have any questions, comments, stories, concerns, opinions, literally anything that you want to say, I'm going to be continuing this conversation over on my Patreon page, which you can get to by clicking that box on the side of the screen that says Patreon, or you can click the link in the description box below that says Join My Family. That's going to take you to the site where this ministry is ran, and you'll be able to understand what it is that I want to do, what it is I want to accomplish, and you can just be a part of our family, because there's a handful of really awesome people over on my Patreon page, and we have conversations about this stuff every single week, and I love it, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So click those links, and I will see you next time. Okay, love you guys.